Hello guys, today we're going to be talking about explanatory data analysis. It's a continuation of our project of unwritten digital cognition. And in here we're going to be talking about exploring and cleaning of data of our data set. And we're going to talk about the different illustrations of our data. Yeah, so to begin with, in our explanatory analysis, objective is to identify data outliers, identify trends in time and scope, detecting patterns in data, and to begin with, to do the explanatory analysis, we use the different libraries, and before we do anything, we have to import them, like the matplotlib, which is used to plot data, to make the different plots or graphs or charts of our data. So in our dataset, MNIST dataset, we are having total images, and each image is made of 28 pixels by 28 pixels. So in total, it's having 784 pixels all around. Each picture has 784 pixels in total. And these photos of 110 digits 0 to 9. So they are classified in 10 classes. And when with the outliers are like data which is not supposed to be in our data set, or which does not add any significant outliers are like data which are not supposed to be in our data set, and they're not good to be used in our data set. So they don't contribute to the prediction of our model. So in our data set, of course, you have outliers, and the outlier graph is as shown below. And still, our data has a pattern that it follows. So, and the graph I plotted here was for the classes, and the corresponding number of images that each class has. So the biggest class is 1 with about 6,500 samples in our training data, and the smallest is class 5 with about 5,500 samples of images. Also, the correlation matrices. These summarize a large data set, and they're used to identify and visualize patterns in data. It is simply just a table with which displays the correlation coefficients for different variables, as I've illustrated it down here. So you're going to see different combination of how different features relate in our data set. Down in this, you can observe it in this illustration that I've shared. We have a heat map. This is a two-dimensional representation of data in which values are presented in colors, as I've illustrated down here. And a heat map is basically derived from the correlation matrix, and actually it summarizes our data set so that we get all the data summarized in a two-dimensional presentation. And for the feature independence plots, I don't need to do any, because my data set, all the features, which are the columns, as illustrated in this table, all these columns is labeled 1 by 1 to 28 by 28. All they're dependent of each other, so they're not independent. And to come up with a single image, we need all the pixels from 1 by 1 to 28 by 28. So we don't need the independent plots in here, because all the features, all the columns for all the classes are needed. And for the box plots, these are charts that depict a group of numeric data through quartiles. And here's a sample of the box plot that I extracted out of my data. Yeah. For the trends in time and space, illustrations of trends in time and space, I didn't get any because my data set doesn't have a feature of date, and I can't illustrate the trends in time and space. Because of that, I don't have date in my data set. I don't have any feature of date because my elements don't change over time. Always the images in there will stay. If it's a 0 in numerical data, it will always be a 0 or a 1. It will never change over time. So we don't have, plots of time and space, trends in time and space. We need to clean our data set so that all the data that we feed into our model is clean and it's all the features that we need. So the kind of data that we clean out is empty cells, data that is in wrong format. If you have any duplicates in our data set, we need to remove everything. And I did some code that helped me to find out duplicate. I didn't have any empty cells. I didn't have any null values in our data set, but I found out that I had 71 columns, features that were irrelevant. They're not adding up to, they're not adding any good contribution to our data set in prediction. So I had to remove those 71 columns as I illustrated down here in this image that I shared, the presentation. And actually I remained with 713 features that I'm going to use in the training of the model. For our data set, I was only given the testing and training data. So I had to split the training data into validation data. And this is what I did to split it. So I split the training data to have 20% validation and 80% training. And the tables down below show that I remained with 48,000 images in the training data, and the validation data set I remained with 12,000 images for my validation. And I had to tune my hyperparameters before I fit the model for training. So hyperparameters are parameters that directly control the performance of a model. And once we set those parameters, we are good to go to start training our model. So one of the parameters, the upper parameters that I set was the aperture, which deals with the number of times that the model is going to train. I set to be 5, the maximum to be 5 times. The band size, the validation size. Those are one of the hyperparameters that I tuned. I set to control the performance of the model. And here's the code that I used to, evaluate the set, to evaluate the model, and it's part of the training. It's part of the training because here we evaluate the performance of the model, and I ended up with an accuracy of 94%, about 95%, which is roughly less than the accuracy that I ended up with when I fitted the model down here. So the accuracy is a little less than what I ended up in the fifth approach, and actually the loss increased a little. So our model is not overfit, and it's good to go. And our accuracy is good enough for training. So I have an accuracy of about 95%.